very good evening and welcome to News Tonight on Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Tina Jha. Let's begin with the headlines of the day. Nomination process ends for Maharashtra and Haryana Vidhan Sabha elections. On the last day, senior leaders including Devendra Fadnavis, Ajit Pawar and Bhupender Singh Hooda filed papers. BJP and Shiv Sena announced seat sharing, 124 seats for Sena, 164 for BJP and smaller allies. India will have no role in China's Belt and Road project, Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar tells World Economic Forum. Asserts that government is keen on partnership with neighbouring countries, but not at the cost of sovereignty. NIA filed second charge sheet against JKLF chief Yasin Malik and separatist leaders Asya Andrabi and Masrat Alam in the 2017 terror funding case. Probe agency claims new evidence links them with cross-border accused Hafiz Saeed and Syed Salahuddin. Court to hear case on 23rd October. India will be self-reliant in the production of defence weapons, says Rajnath Singh. Defence Minister calls dependence on imports a roadblock for development, says target is to make Indian defence industry worth $26 billion by 2025. And RBI cuts repo rate by an additional 25 basis points, fifth straight rate cut to help government boost economy. Central Bank also lowers GDP growth estimate from 6.9 to 6.1%. The top story this evening, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar on Friday said that Article 370, which provided for Jammu and Kashmir's special status, was only a temporary provision. He said this during a conversation with World Economic Forum President Bosch Bren at a session of the India Economic Summit in New Delhi. The minister said the abrogation of Article 370 provisions did come up for discussion in his meetings during the recent US visit. He shot down speculations on whether India would copy China's Belt and Road initiative, reiterating New Delhi's long-standing position on the project. He added its concept won't apply to India. The foreign minister also said there is no doubt that the world has become more nationalistic, and a lot of that nationalism is economic nationalism as well as cultural nationalism. He said in India's case, nationalism is not a negative sentiment directed at the world.
Where India is concerned, we in a way are a standout. We are an exception. We are an exception because in this country you could say, yes, we are more nationalistic, but at the same time we don't see a tension between being nationalistic and being international in the sense of dealing more with the world and engaging more with the world. So the nationalism is not a kind of a negative sentiment directed at the world. In fact, people generally feel if you're going up, you should be doing more things with the world, not less things with the world.
Discussing India's push for strengthening of ties with its neighbours, the minister said, and I quote, "I would say the entire neighbourhood minus one has actually been a fairly good story of regional cooperation," unquote.
We will certainly make sure that our ability to compete, our ability to secure and advance our interests, our ability to influence other countries, which is all, by the way, this is what international relations is about. So I would certainly hope that that remains sharp, that remains effective. And in this exercise, normally, if there is an epicenter, which is yourself, then how good you are is a function of distance. So you start with your immediate neighborhood. If you can't influence your immediate neighborhood, it is very unlikely you'll be able to influence beyond. So to me, that's like the first circle of your interests.
The two-day India Economic Summit, which ended on Friday, was organized by the World Economic Forum in collaboration with the Confederation of Indian Industry. India on Friday said it deeply regrets the statements of Turkey and Malaysia attacking New Delhi on the Kashmir issue and termed it an internal matter of the country. External Affairs Ministry spokesperson Ravish Kumar said India has friendly ties with both these countries. He reiterated India's position that Pakistan had invaded and illegally occupied parts of Jammu and Kashmir, and the current developments in Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh are purely an internal matter of India. Malaysian Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad and Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan had raised the Kashmir issue during their address at the UNGA.
You see, for Turkey, I can say that we are friendly countries, and therefore we deeply regret that since the 6th of August, there have been repeated statements by the Turkish government, from their foreign ministry, on a matter which is completely internal to India. These statements are factually incorrect, biased, and unwarranted. We call upon the government of Turkey to get a proper understanding of the situation on the ground before they make any further statements on this issue. As far as the statement by Malaysian Prime Minister is concerned, we have had traditionally good and friendly ties with Malaysia, and if you look at in recent years, I think these relations have actually strengthened, and therefore we actually again were quite surprised, and we deeply regret that the comments which were made by the Prime Minister of Malaysia, again, it is not based on facts.
India also condemned the provocative and irresponsible statements against it by Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan over Kashmir at the UNGA and said he is unaware of how international relations are conducted.
और हम बार बार कहते आए हैं कि पाकिस्तान और पाकिस्तान के लीडर्स जैसे एक पड़ोसी मुल्क को बिहेव करना चाहिए, जैसे एक पड़ोसी को बिहेव करना चाहिए, वैसे ही नॉर्मल बिहेवियर उनसे अपेक्षा करते तो नहीं है, लेकिन फिर भी पड़ोसी हैं तो कभी कभी करना पड़ता है। और जहाँ तक उनका ये कॉल है कि आप यहाँ से जाके और किसी दूसरे देश का सॉवरेनिटी, टेरिटोरियलिटी को वायलेट करो और दूसरे कंट्री में जाओ, ये तो मुझे लगता है कि ये उस ऑफिस में जिसको ऑक्यूपाई करते हैं उसके काबिल नहीं है। हाफिज़ सईद के बारे में सबको पता है, UN डेजिग्नेटेड ग्लोबल टेररिस्ट हैं, मास्टरमाइंड हैं मुंबई टेरर अटैक के, और US डिपार्टमेंट ट्रेजरी ने उनके ऊपर इनाम भी घोषित की है और पूरे 10 मिलियन का इनाम है। अब स्थिति ये है कि एक देश एक एप्लीकेशन देता है एक ग्लोबल टेररिस्ट के बिहाफ पे UN सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल के सैंक्शंस कमेटी को कि इनको पॉकेट मनी दिया जाए। बहुत ही अजीब सी स्थिति है, और सवाल यह है कि क्या उनको जो बाकी सारे नॉर्मल टेररिस्ट हैं उनको वैसा ट्रीट नहीं करना चाहिए। और उसके बाद फिर सवाल ये उठता है कि आप तो एक एप्लीकेशन दे रहे हैं कि इनको पॉकेट मनी दो, और उसके बाद आप बोलते हैं कि जब हमारा ये स्टेटमेंट होता है कि हम टेररिस्ट के खिलाफ एक्शन लेते हैं तो आप विश्वास नहीं करते हो। कैसे कोई विश्वास करेगा? यही तो डुप्लिसिटी है, एक तरफ आप बोलते हैं करते कुछ और है।
Defence Minister Rajnath Singh on Friday said India cannot remain dependent on imported weapons for long and that it did not align with the country's plans to become a superpower. He was speaking at the India International Security Expo 2019 in New Delhi. The minister also said his ministry had taken several steps to boost MSMEs in the defence sector and liberalize industrial licensing. Rajnath Singh added that India aims to become a vibrant world-class defence industry, thereby reducing dependency on imports. The minister also said that out of the target, in fact, our target is to make defense industry worth $26 billion by the year 2025.
इसलिए हमारा लक्ष्य एक वाइब्रेंट व वर्ल्ड क्लास डोमेस्टिक डिफेंस इंडस्ट्री बनाना है ताकि इंपोर्ट पर निर्भरता हमारी कम हो तथा आत्मनिर्भरता का लक्ष्य हम प्राप्त कर सके। और हमारी सरकार का यह भी मानना है इसे संभव करने के लिए यह अति आवश्यक है कि सिस्टम को इंडस्ट्री फ्रेंडली बनाया जाए तथा वह डिफेंस प्रोडक्शन में प्राइवेट सेक्टर के ग्रोथ के भी वो अनुकूल हो।
Chief of Air Staff, Air Chief Marshal Rakesh Kumar Singh Bhadoria on Friday said that the operational preparedness of the Indian Air Force has been of a very high order and it achieved a number of operational milestones last year, including the Balakot strike. In his first press conference, the Air Force Chief said the Indian Air Force is prepared to meet any contingency. He added that with steps like the acquisition of Rafale fighters from France and S-400 Triumph anti-air missile systems from Russia, the Air Force is confident regarding its capabilities to fight at a short notice. He also informed that Defence Minister Rajnath Singh will receive the first of 36 Rafale fighter jets in Paris on 8th October, and by May next year, a total of 4 Rafale aircraft will be delivered to the Indian Air Force. The Defence Minister is also scheduled to fly a sortie on a 2-seater trainer version.
स्ट्राइक्स एज ए फर्स्ट स्टेप नहीं करते हैं। अगर वो कोई गलत काम करेंगे, टेररिस्ट स्ट्राइक करेंगे, तभी हमारा रिस्पांस रहेगा। सो ऐसा नहीं है कि अभी हम कुछ प्लान कर रहे हैं, हमको स्ट्राइक करने का कोई प्लान बना रहे हैं। तो अगर उनकी तरफ से वॉट एवर बी द टारगेट्स दे विल बी टेकन केयर ऑफ वॉट एवर द गवर्नमेंट डिसाइड्स। इंक्वायरी अब पूरी हो गई है रिसेंटली, पिछले हफ्ते, और ये हमारी गलती थी। हमारी ही मिसाइल से ये हेलीकॉप्टर हिट किया गया था और ये एस्टैब्लिश हो गया है। हमने नेसेसरी एक्शन ले लिया है, इन टर्म्स ऑफ एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव एक्शन ऑलरेडी ले लिया है। 2 ऑफिसर्स के अगेंस्ट डिसिप्लिनरी एक्शन भी लिया जाएगा।
The NIA on Friday filed a supplementary charge sheet before a Delhi court against JKLF chief Yasin Malik. Separatists Asiya Andrabi, Shabir Shah, Masrat Alam Bhatt have also been named as accused in the charge sheet for criminal conspiracy and also for carrying out terrorist activities in Jammu and Kashmir. The probe agency claimed that new evidence links them with cross-border accused Hafiz Saeed and Syed Salahuddin. The charge sheet further claimed that Pakistan High Commission supported the separatists through transfer of funds via financial conduits to create unrest in the Kashmir Valley. The court has put up the matter for taking cognizance of the charge sheet on 23rd October. In its 4th bi-monthly policy review, the Reserve Bank of India slashed repo rate by 25 basis points today. The short-term lending rate now stands at 5.15%, the lowest since March 2010, to help reduce borrowing costs for home and auto loans, which are now directly linked to this benchmark. The repo rate is cut for the 5th time this year and takes the total quantum of reductions to 1.35%. The RBI cut its estimate of economic growth in the current fiscal to 6.1% from its earlier estimate of 6.9%. RBI also retained retail inflation projection for second half of the year at 3.5, in fact, between 3.5 to 3.7%. RBI Governor Shaktikant Das also assured that the banking system remains sound and stable and there is no reason to panic at all.
The MPC voted unanimously to reduce the policy repo rate by 25 basis points, with 5 members voting to reduce the policy rate by 25 basis points. The MPC also decided to continue with the accommodative stance as long as it is necessary to revive growth while ensuring that inflation remains within the target. industrial production was lower in July 2019 on a year-on-year basis, pulled down mainly by manufacturing. The production of capital goods and consumer durables contracted. The output of 8 core industries contracted in August, with production of coal, electricity, crude oil and cement decelerating or going into contraction.
Health Minister Harshvardhan has said that the formation of the National Medical Commission is underway and that a draw of lots will be held on 14th October to select members of the National Medical Commission from the nominations sent by the state governments, union territories and state medical councils. He added that the entire process of constituting the National Medical Commission will be transparent.
नेशनल मेडिकल काउंसिल कमीशन के मेंबर्स, उसके ऑटोनॉमस बोर्ड्स के मेंबर्स के लिए जो लोगों से यानी डॉक्टर से जो हमें एप्लीकेशंस मांगनी थी, उसके लिए देश के 97 अखबारों में एडवर्टीज़मेंट दे चुके हैं। 18 अक्टूबर उसकी लास्ट डेट है।
Former Managing Director of Punjab and Maharashtra Cooperative Bank, Joy Thomas, was arrested on Friday by the Economic Offences Wing of Mumbai Police in connection with the Punjab and Maharashtra Cooperative Bank fraud. Earlier, the Enforcement Directorate raided 6 locations in Mumbai and adjoining areas. The agency also registered an enforcement case information report against the erring bank officials on the basis of FIR filed by the Mumbai Police. The investigating agency registered a money laundering case against former bank management and promoters of the Housing Development Infrastructure Limited. According to the initial investigation, the police said the bank's losses since 2008 were 4,355 crore rupees. On to some other news. The Supreme Court said it would wrap up hearing in the Ram Janmabhoomi Babri Masjid land dispute at Ayodhya by 17th October, which is a day sooner than the earlier schedule. On the conclusion of the 37th day of the hearing, a 5-judge constitution bench headed by Chief Justice Ranjan Gogoi fixed the schedule for the final leg of the lengthy arguments. The court added that 17th October would be the last day for wrapping up the hearing, when the parties will have to make the final arguments about the relief that they are seeking. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu reiterated today that the need for India to engage with the international community will take India's development agenda forward. He addressed the 18th meet of governing body of Indian Council of World Affairs in New Delhi, and he said that India's robust diplomatic outreach and engagement with the world has secured it an important place globally, and now we need to build on it further. A look now at all the latest election stories from the 2 board-bound states of Maharashtra and Haryana. Friday was the last day of filing nominations in both the states. The scrutiny of nominations will be done on Saturday, and candidates can withdraw their candidature by Monday. Let's first get you all the updates from Maharashtra. On the last day of filing nominations, Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis filed his nomination from Southwest Nagpur Assembly constituency. The Congress had on Thursday announced the nomination of former BJP MLA Ashish Deshmukh from the Southwest Nagpur seat. So far, a total of 1,969 nominations have been filed from across the state for the 288-member State Assembly.
जिस प्रकार की एक सकारात्मक लहर है, इसके चलते निश्चित रूप से भारतीय जनता पार्टी, शिवसेना, रिपाई, ये जो हमारी एक बड़ी युति है, ग्रैंड अलायंस है, ये बहुत अच्छे वोटों से जीतेगा। एक रिकॉर्ड जीत हम हासिल करेंगे। बड़े पैमाने पर हम लोग महाराष्ट्र में भी सीटें जीतेंगे और नागपुर, जहां से मैं लड़ रहा हूं, शहर की 6 और जिले की 6, ऐसी 12 की 12 सीटें हम जीतेंगे। एक अभूतपूर्व विजय मिलेगी।
Several political bigwigs filed nominations on Thursday. BJP State President Chandrakant Patil filed papers from Kothurud in Pune. The others included Shiv Sena's Eknath Shinde and NCP leader Ajit Pawar. Sitting NCP MLA Jitendra Avhad also filed his papers from the Kalwa Mumra constituency in Thane. In the state of Maharashtra, there are several key issues, including severe drought and agrarian distress, that are likely to dominate the political scenario this time. In these elections, while the opposition parties are trying to corner the government on these very issues, the BJP on its part is highlighting its development agenda. In this report, let's take a look at the key issues that Maharashtra will vote on this time.
Maharashtra will be the first state to have elections after the BJP's thumping victory in the Lok Sabha polls. While the BJP is highlighting its development agenda, the opposition is focusing on the job crisis and farmers' issues to corner the government. The severe drought, agrarian distress, farmer suicides, unemployment and also the demands for reservation are likely to dominate the campaign during the upcoming assembly polls. Given that nearly 50% geographical area of the state is witnessing drought as well as a water crisis, addressing the resentment in rural areas will be a major issue for the BJP-led government. The BJP Shiv Sena alliance government led by Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis has so far extended a relief of nearly 10,000 crore rupees. The opposition Congress NCP front, however, claims that the Jal Yukt Shivir Abhiyan, the flagship scheme of the CM to make the state drought-free, has not yielded any results. According to reports, in the last 4 years, more than 12,000 farmers have committed suicides.
You see, as far as Maharashtra is concerned, there are many issues. If we talk of ruling party or ruling alliance of BJP and Shiv Sena and the government, obviously they have their agenda of development, progress, what they have done to the farmers, then waiver especially, and other issues. Because Maharashtra, though it's a very progressive state and industrious state, but despite that, Maharashtra is also agriculturally very important state, because Maharashtra's economy waves around sugar cane, onion. So these are also the lobbies in Maharashtra which actually influence politics.
Besides this, reservation is another issue for the BJP government to tackle with. The Marathas account for nearly 33% of the total 11.25 crore population of Maharashtra. On one ground that the state succeeded is giving 16% reservation to Marathas in jobs and education. Thus, Maratha now has a 68% quota, above the 50% mandated by the Supreme Court. Now there is a demand from other communities like Muslim to provide reservation in jobs. Besides Dhangar, the shepherd community are demanding reservation.
This government has taken initiative to have metros for urban transport, like Mumbai. Mumbai has a very best network of urban transportation. So on those lines, government has taken certain steps to provide urban and civic infrastructure, facilities, amenities to the urban population also.
Since coming to power, the BJP's biggest priority has been infrastructure, particularly transport. This has translated into projects such as new metro lines for Mumbai, Pune, Nagpur, and the Mumbai-Nagpur Samruddhi Expressway beside the centre's ambitious bullet train. Several state highways have also been upgraded. Another issue that the opposition parties have been hammering at the government is the issue of price rise and inflation. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And let's now get you all the news and updates from the election battleground in Haryana. On the last day of filing nominations in Haryana, Congress leader Bhupender Singh Hooda filed his nomination from Garhi Sampla Kiloi seat. The senior Congress leader, who is also leading the Congress party's election campaign in the state, claimed the BJP government in Haryana will be ousted after the 21st October polls, as people have made up their mind to bring back the main opposition party to power. The Haryana Congress legislature party leader said the false promises made by the BJP have been exposed in front of the people.
मैं समझता हूँ कि आज से हरियाणा में बदलाव का बिगुल बज चुका है। चौधरी भूपेंद्र सिंह हुड्डा जी ने नामांकन पत्र भरा है। हुड्डा साहब के हाथ में जब से कांग्रेस के चुनाव की कमान आई है, तब से मैं समझता हूँ प्रदेश के अंदर दिन प्रतिदिन कांग्रेस पार्टी का ग्राफ बढ़ा है। शैलजा जी को अध्यक्ष बनाया गया है और इस नेतृत्व में, हुड्डा साहब के नेतृत्व में, शैलजा जी के नेतृत्व में कांग्रेस पार्टी प्रदेश के अंदर एक सकारात्मक विकल्प और बदलाव लेके कांग्रेस पार्टी आएगी।
One of BJP's star candidates, wrestler Yogeshwar Dutt, also filed his nomination from Baroda seat in Haryana. He was accompanied by Union Sports Minister Kiran Rijiju as he filed his papers.
मेरा यह है कि मैं लोगों की सेवा करूं और जो प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी का जो सपना है सशक्त भारत का और सबका साथ सबका विकास, उसको लेके हम आगे चलेंगे। जो ईमानदारी हमारी मनोहर खट्टर जी ने जो यहाँ पे दिखाई है, उसको लेके हम आगे चलेंगे।
With the opposition parties in disarray and the Modi factor still in play, the BJP looks to maintain its edge over its contenders in Haryana. Manohar Lal Khattar, Haryana's first BJP chief minister, has said that the implementation of central government schemes in the state is going to win them the people's confidence one more time. The Haryana government has done well in registering almost 1.4 million farmers under the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Nidhi, out of which nearly 30% have received the third installment of 6,000 rupees relief given to eligible farmers per year. The Chief Minister has also made NRC implementation a poll promise in the state this time. So while the BJP is wooing farmers with government benefits and schemes, the Congress and other opposition parties like the INLD and the JJP are also offering loan waivers, free electricity and monthly stipends to the youth. And that's it from us in this bulletin. Thank you for your time.